Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their spiritual journey stories with a safe and supportive community. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, email lighttalk423@gmail.com. While you're at it, click on that like, share, and subscribe buttons down below. And let's get started with today. We have a return guest, Alysia Lyons.
Thanks for having me back. I just had too many stories to share last time.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to hear all the other ones too. So, yeah, go ahead and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself again, and then we can start telling some more stories.
Sure.
Yay.
Yeah, so I am a coach for moms. I help moms let go of guilt and increase their peace. And just started on this spiritual journey sometime. It's hard to say like when it started. I definitely started being more open to it. Started in 2022 with a dream that I had about my dad that actually ended up kind of coming true. And when I was a gestational surrogate for twins, I had more soul power, which is what my woo-woo friend called it. And I was like, I love having more soul power. And it kind of felt like that soul power just never left. Like I woke up and haven't gone back to sleep. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's always so much fun because I'm still getting a lot of little bits and pieces coming through, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's
Mhm.
coming along. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Yeah. Yeah, so what kind of signs have you been getting lately that's helping you through all of this?
Yeah. So
You froze up on
just
me.
to kind of break up. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you froze up on me.
Yay, unstable internet connection. We have a storm going on, so somebody's in retrograde right now. I don't know. I'm
So,
pretty sure something's always in retrograde, but whatever it is with our
yeah.
communication.
So, why don't you go ahead and start from the beginning there?
Yeah, so I started driving for Lyft a couple of weeks ago because I needed to get out of the pattern that I was in uh, kind of during COVID, where, my home got really, really comfy. So I needed to just shake things up a little bit. And so I started driving for Lyft for a couple hours a day. And um, I was driving down the street and the angel numbers I think we talked about on the last episode. Um, the ice angel numbers are repeating series of numbers if you're not familiar. So 555, 444, 1234, stuff like that. I started seeing, I saw the address that I was going to was 5550. Well, it was a different address, but I passed that address. I was like, oh, 555, while I was passing. And then the person I was picking up, her name was Shelly. And she spelled it differently than my friend who had passed away, but I remember thinking, oh, her name's Shelly, and then I kind of dismissed it. And while I was driving, during that day, I saw several signs from my dad, the people before Shelly. I took these guys to a train track to work on the tracks. Like, and to me, that was so strange to pick somebody up who works on train tracks. And my dad was obsessed with trains his whole life. So we kind of had a cool conversation about that. In between dropping those guys off and picking up Shelly, I was listening to a book from uh, Laura Lynn Jackson, who's a psychic medium. And she wrote a book called Signs, which, I've been looking for all these signs, right? Um, and in right at the point when I started thinking about this book that I was going to be writing with a friend of mine, she used the same phrase in her book, something very similar to the title of the book that we're writing. Um, and I've been asked not to share the title just so that people don't get to it before us, but it had something to do with Google. And in the book, Laura Lynn Jackson talked about how this kind of thing you couldn't Google. And I was like, oh, so I kind of started paying attention at that point. And then where was I taking Shelley? To the train station. So it was like this series of signs between my friend Shelley and my dad and the psychic medium. And I called my friend, and it was 5 in the morning. 5:55 in the morning, by the way. I'm pretty sure like that would no joke. I picked up this woman, Shelley. I was in front of her house for probably 5 to 10 minutes, and there's a maximum of 5 minute wait time before you're allowed to leave, but I knew she was coming. And there so we were sitting there for a long time. And when I started driving, it said that the arrival time was 5:55. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And so in my head, I thought, okay, if this is you, Shelley, let me know, change the time, change the arrival time. And it went from 5:55 to 5:54 and then back to 5:55. And I'm like, okay, this
Oh,
is
so
crazy.
cool. And
Yeah,
I don't have my numbers memorized just yet, but can you remind us what the 555 means?
I will. And well, as soon as I Google it. um, it's said to represent change, good luck, transformation,
Change.
freedom, and
Okay.
personal growth. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So um since then I've kind of assigned the number 444 to Shelley, because on the 4 year, did I tell this story on the 4 year anniversary of her passing on 4/4, she woke me up at 4:44.
I don't
I
think
think I did.
so.
No?
Did you?
Okay. I
Well, we'll
thought I
rehear
did.
it.
Yeah, right. I think you already, it's a cool story. But on um on the 4 year anniversary of her passing away on April 4th, I woke up at 4:44. And then when I got into the car, there was a song from Beyonce called Halo.
Okay,
And
yes,
so
I think you did
do you
say.
remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now I
And
remember
then
this. Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
Beyonce's known as Queen Bee, and the bee is connected to Mary Kay. So another thing that's connected to that, I went to a spiritual store last week because I'm in a mentor program to develop these spiritual gifts. And she said we needed a brand new Oracle deck. And so I went to the store to buy a deck, and I was just looking at the wall. He had a wall of decks, tarot and oracle decks. And one of the decks I looked at was called When My Soul Whispered, and there was a bee on it. There you go.
Oh, how cute.
And then when I flipped it
Nice.
over on the other side, there was this image of an owl, which is to me represents Shelley. So I bought that deck. Like, I was like, that's a no-brainer. And I ended up buying a couple other ones. But when I started playing with this deck, I was shuffling it, and the same card kept popping out. And that still trips me out when the same card, there's 40, 50 cards in this deck, and the same card keeps popping out. And as soon as we acknowledged the message, like I looked at the card, I interpreted it for what it said to me and what it meant to me. And the teacher was like, yeah, you're spot on with that card. And then I
Nice.
stopped pulling that card. After I read it, after I told her what it meant to me for her, it stopped popping out.
Nice.
It's such a interesting tool. Like all of this is so like I'm still so new to it. It still just spins my head a little bit.
Yeah.
So last week, the other thing that happened with Shelly was um so I went to or I was on a different podcast with a friend of mine, the same friend um that I met with the day that Shelly died. And the message that day was that she wasn't worried about me. She knew I would be fine, but she was worried that my son would forget her. And I was pissed that she wasn't worried about me. Because I'm like, I don't know that I'm gonna be fine. And so I met with this same woman for she started a podcast and I was a guest on her podcast and she said Shelly came in today while I was in another meeting and I was like no not now baby like Alicia's later and Shelly was insistent that she give the message right then and it was something about focusing on my health and in that moment it was a little bit disruptive because I think I'm pretty healthy and like so it caught me off guard at first and then I recognized that people are talking to me through my health and like my grandma used to communicate through pain in my teeth and once I received that message from her the pain stopped and
Interesting.
once I start and I had pain in my tooth again and the intensity of the pain has subsided since recognizing that message or recognizing that it's them they want me to pay attention they want me to talk out loud to them so the other thing
Interesting.
that this this friend of mine Jamie she said Shelly wants you to pour her a cup of coffee every morning. Stop being so selfish and pour her a cup of coffee. And I was like, well, can I drink the coffee? Because like I don't want to waste it. Like I'm absolutely happy to share a cup of coffee with her in the morning. Drink it. So ever since then, I've been pouring myself my mushroom coffee, and then I pour a cup of coffee for Shelly in a mug that was Shelly's. So it's very much hers.
Yeah.
Um, and the first morning that I did that, I went and drove for Lyft, and every morning I'm so close to an Amazon distribution center that my very first ride is usually somebody going home from Amazon. So if the ride doesn't immediately pop up, then I just start driving in that direction and eventually it'll call me to go there. Well, I started driving in that direction and a ride came up that was not to Amazon. And my first thought was, well, that's strange. I drive for like 10 minutes and I'm approaching the street and I look at the map and it says Del Mar Avenue. And I lived on Del Mar with Shelly.
Oh my goodness.
Several miles down the road, but I lived on Del Mar with Shelly. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh
And I'm
wow.
driving down this street, and it's one of those streets where you can't drive fast down the street because when there's a cross street, there's a dip.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so you have to go really slow down the dip. So, probably the third street of slowing down, I watch a cat run across the street. And then another cat run across the street and then a pause and then a third cat and I'm just thinking like what is
That's
this a
odd.
clown car of cats
I know.
what is happening
Yeah.
and at one point I was thinking the thought popped into my head so what if someone stole my wallet and I've never had that thought while I was driving. Like I have my wallet tucked away so that it's with me if I need it, but it's not anywhere that anybody could tell
Right.
that I have it with me. Um, and so I had that thought and so I'm having an argument with the thief in my head. Like, well, there's only $25 cash in there. And by the time you get to a store, I will have all of the cards canceled. And then I thought, well, shoot, he'll steal my phone then. It
Oh
was
no.
right. So this is this conversation in my head. So I look down at the phone and I look at the name of the writer, and I had immediate like, oh crap. And it was just like this instantaneous knowing that this was not safe. And as I was pulling up to the house, there are 15 guys standing in front of the house at 4:15, 4:30 in the morning.
Is that
And
4
I was like,
o'clock hour?
right? I was like, no. And I hit decline ride and I just kept going. I was like, there's no way I'm picking up. I'm not stopping in front of a house with 15 guys standing in front of it at 4 in the morning. That's not happening.
Good for you.
So and it didn't dawn on me until the next person I picked up mentioned cats. She goes, yeah, there's a lot of animals out, and there's these cats that play in the backyard and they keep me up at night. And it reminded me that I had these three cats run in front of me. And I was like, that was like every single step of the way, that was Shelly, like telling me to pay attention. This isn't right. And
Interesting.
it's just been this whole I think the next day, or maybe it was the first day this week, my days get all kind of jumbled up.
Yeah.
So much of the stuff, like there's so much of the stuff that happens. It's really hard to keep track of when and where and how and why.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with you. I get it.
and so one of the days this week, I drove all the way to Amazon and there was not a single ride. I think it was Tuesday because I had my mentorship call on Monday. And during that call, she read my cards and she said, your spirit team needs you to pay attention. They need you to talk out loud to them. And so I pulled over sort of in front of Amazon, but not right, like a little bit down the street. And I pulled over and I hadn't gotten a ride yet. And I was just sitting there looking at the app and I was like, and I said out loud, you guys are going to make me talk to you before you give me a ride, aren't you? And right then it went off. Like, oh my God. And I was just like, I
That's
was
funny.
begging with them. I was like, listen, guys, you got to be patient with me. This is not how I was raised. I was programmed that talking to yourself out loud means you're crazy. Like, I need some grace.
And it's funny because I do the same thing. I'll talk to him in my head and everything when I'm driving, but not out loud. And I do. It feels funny when you're talking out loud to no one.
One. It seems like to no
Yeah.
one. And so I just had to
Yeah.
stop telling myself, like, it's not to nobody. They are listening. There's
Yes, they
people,
are.
And yesterday was the anniversary, the 5-year anniversary of my friend passing. And the day that she passed, we were supposed to go to lunch. We were supposed to go out to sushi, um, to a restaurant called Wasabi that's here in town. And um, and so yesterday I kept that date and I went. And I think that she aligned my schedule to make that happen because my original plan, I had asked her niece if she wanted to come. Her niece never responded. I asked my sister if she wanted to come, and my sister said yes, but we didn't talk about it again. And in the morning, my sister texted me and she said, I'm not feeling well, so I'm going to have to cancel dinner tonight. And then I had my podcast recording scheduled, and I was going to be a guest on a podcast right after that. And that second podcast, we couldn't get the feedback to stop. So every time I talked or every time she talked, there was an echo.
Oh my goodness.
And we did all the things to get the feedback to stop. I restarted my computer. I put on my Bluetooth headphones would not connect. Like there everything that could go wrong went wrong. And even while I was restarting my computer, I said out loud, "Hey guys, I need your help here. I I want to record this podcast."
Yeah.
But I think Shelly wanted me to go on the lunch date, and so I ended up at Wasabi for lunch an hour earlier than I would have had I
Right.
not recorded had I recorded that podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever get the podcast recorded?
I rescheduled to next week. So
There you go.
yeah, like, all right, I guess this isn't happening today. That's fine.
Yeah, that happens. That definitely happens.
You just got to detach and let go, because those kinds of things, it happens and there's a reason. So sometimes we don't get to know the reason.
Yep, and that's okay. You get that. I get a lot of rescheduling and stuff with my podcast, and it's okay because it's just not the right time for that one,
Yeah.
and it'll be right when it comes around. So I never worry about it.
Yeah.
No point. So
Sure.
yeah, yeah. Signs. I've been getting a lot of 111s, 222s, 333s, 444s. Those are my numbers that I usually get. So I'm trying to really kind of figure them out and kind of really learn what they're talking about and how it pertains to me and everything. And then I had this really weird dream last night. It was I won't go into details because it was kind of like almost disturbing. But yeah. But it was a repeated dream. So I dreamt this dream, and the whole dream repeated when it was done. It was like on a repeat, and it just kept reviewing. So, and it did that like 4 times, and then at the last time, another section popped on to the end of it. And I woke up this morning. I'm like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't go into work today because it was kind of like a almost disturbing thing. It's like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about me and the way I'm looking at my job.
Mm.
And it popped because it's kind of going through my head here. I was talked to by my supervisor today, and it's like, oh my goodness, yes, there's something better for me going on. So I need to refocus or maybe let go of this position and continue. So I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking about it, but yeah.
My
So,
invitation to you is to feel about it more than you think about it.
and that's kind of the feel. That's kind of the feel. I went to my pendulum and said the same thing that I was thinking as I was coming home. So
Okay, so I
there you
just
go.
felt led to pull a card from the Shelly deck for you. If you're open, if you're
Oh, I am always open for something fun.
cool. Is there a question that you want answered?
Oh, let's see here. I'll see what you say. Should I take this other position? Is it for my greatest good?
This deck usually talks pretty quick, so if it's not this deck, then it's another deck.
Okay.
It's I don't want to have dead air while while I'm shuffling, but the the decks have been the most fascinating thing for me. I bought my first tarot deck because it was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer tarot deck. And I mean, my son's name is Xander. And that was a
This
character,
character. Okay.
character, yeah.
I never
Um,
watched the show, so
it's so interesting watching it with the knowledge that I have now. Here we go. Um, I'm laughing because the card is a lion.
hear it roar. Oh. Almost. Nope,
Come on.
nope,
Okay, we might
nope.
have to turn. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
And it says strength.
And I see in him to go forth, and you've got it. You've got this. Is that what you see in him? To
Mhm.
go forth, be
Yeah.
strong,
To
be
me,
courageous.
lions are they're it's strength. It is strength. Like lions are strength to me, and there's power, and there's conviction there. Like that, that maybe there's some fear, but it'll be okay.
Yeah,
You got this.
I got this. All right. I think I have my answer. It's coming in multiple directions here, so
Amazing.
I think it's. I think my decision's kind of been made.
Made itself. Yep.
Yep.
I
It's
agree.
time to move up, take more in there. So yeah. So yeah, I get my numbers are always coming up on my dashboard in the car. So it's either the time or the odometer or
Mhm.
yeah, all of that. It's always coming up.
Yep.
Yeah.
My son and I were talking because the number 666 is has a negative connotation to it for a lot of people,
Right.
and I don't see it that way personally. It's like the it's just like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a house, and you can use a hammer to bash somebody's skull in. It's
Right.
the same tool used for good or evil,
Or evil.
right?
Right.
That's how I see the number 666. And I said, and I was just curious with my son. I said, so is to you, is 666 the devil number, or is it an angel number, or is it good or is it bad? And he said,
Right.
oh, it's bad, it's definitely bad. And I said, but it's an angel number. And he goes, yeah, the devil's a fallen angel. I was like, I can't argue
Okay.
with you there, buddy.
He's got both sides on you, Mom.
I'm in trouble with him, I'll tell you that.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff on all of the coincidences per se, and it's so cool. I'm
Yeah,
just kind of starting to see a lot of that happening with me, and it's very awesome to see it
yeah.
starting to work through. Yeah.
We're not, I
Well,
mean, we're not alone out there. Like it feels like it, but there's definitely another side.
yeah.
And whether you believe in religion or not, there's another side, and there's our spirit team, there's our ancestors, there's spirit, and then there's us, and it can be really confusing when you're getting into it. Um, and I still don't know, like I don't always know who I'm talking to or
Hmm.
who's giving me the messages, but I did ask that my spirit team not give up, like beat me over the head with a message until I get it. And I
There you go.
and when I was talking about my tooth pain earlier, I was like, damn it, I asked for this. Like,
What do they always say?
careful what you ask for.
Careful what you wish for. Yes. That's funny.
Yeah.
That is, I am so happy that you were able to join us again today. And you're just such a wonderful person and very easy to talk with and just so open. And I get a warm feeling with speaking with you. And it's really great. So,
I love the idea for your podcast. I enjoyed connecting with you on multiple occasions, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
yeah, I'm excited. I have no worries that I'm going to get this moving. It's going to start jumping. It's going to start ex- exploding. And I have high goals for myself. So
Amazing.
we're
And a new
gonna
job soon.
and a new job. Moving up, moving up.
Oh,
All right. Well, go ahead and send all your friends over to me that has stories. I am open to bring in anybody that has some awesome stories, which is
yeah.
usually most of them because everybody has a fantastic stories. I just can't get enough of listening to everybody. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's
When
so
my
much
girlfriend was here house sitting for us while we went on a trip to Utah, she was cleaning the chandelier, and the chandelier moved for the next hour. And she
oh.
sent me a video of it too. So, oh man, that made me think of more stories. But anyway,
Oh no! Well, let's keep talking. Let's talk on the offside here, and let's see. Maybe we might go into a third video with you.
yeah.
Maybe.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. Well, we're gonna end it right now, though. But if anybody out there has any stories or know of anybody that has experiences with the paranormal or supernatural or anything on that end, feel free to give me an email at lighttalk423@gmail.com, and we'll chat and we'll get this rolling and you can be a guest on the show. And while you're at it, click on that like, share, and subscribe buttons on the bottom of the screen. So we will talk with everybody later. Until next time, see you later. Bye.